Well, welcome to Pure 247 Radio. I'm Nathan Thomas, and I'm joined once again by Karen Ferguson from the Maven Club, back for weekend well-being for the first time since summer. Hello, Karen. How are you?
Hi Nathan, I'm good, thank you. Have you had a pleasant summer?
Yeah, it's been great. There's been some very intense heat waves where it got very humid, which is odd. But I hear that autumn is coming early this year.
I've heard all sorts of strange things about autumn actually in the BBC News, but I don't really understand entirely what they're talking about. But I personally just love the sun, so I'll take any of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really wonderful, and I'm going to miss summer because it's got to be my favorite time of the year.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too.
Well, it's great to see you again and great to be back for Weekend Wellbeing. Of course, Weekend Wellbeing is all about just taking a moment to think about how we can look after our wellbeing over the weekend. And you've given us lots of great advice. You've taken us through the 5 steps to wellbeing, the NHS 5 steps to wellbeing, and other themes on how we can just take a moment to relax and unwind. But just before we start, since it's been a while, would you like to tell us what you do at the Maven Club?
Yeah, thanks. So we've been actually really interestingly over the summer, we have been wanting to practice what we preach. And so as a team, we've had a real focus on well-being. You think sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm really great at encouraging other people, and then I forget myself in all of that. So we spent some time together in person. So Jasmine, who is in charge of our comms and particularly our social media, we spent a week together in the sun. It was fantastic, and it was just such a great space for us to connect. Because although we obviously do get to chat to each other all the time, there's something really special about being in the same place together. So it was really lovely to connect, and it was great to practice what we preach. We went out for runs and bike rides and swam and all sorts of things, just thinking about what's it actually mean to pause and look after our own well-being as we're trying to encourage everyone else to. And one of the things that Jasmine and I have in common is that we have a real love for food. So that was really nice for us to not only just plan and talk and eat together, but yeah, it was really good to share that interest.
Oh, brilliant. That is wonderful. And it is good to practice what we preach. It's easy enough to say certain things like, it's good to take time out for this and take time out for that. But we can easily forget to do that ourselves. And so summer is a great opportunity when things are generally a bit quieter, people are taking time off. Use that time to get a refresh. And like you say, maybe meet up with people you wouldn't normally and just do things that you enjoy. Like eating is a great one, just trying out new recipes and all kinds of things. And running, exercise. I mean, I've been cycling a lot more over summer because it's just been the perfect weather for it.
It's a friendlier time, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. One of the things, if it's okay just to mention as well, is that in September, on September the 18th, I'll be hosting a free webinar. One of the things about the Maven Club is when we offer free webinars, we really do promise that they are a free webinar. There's no upsell at the end. This isn't like just trying to woo you in and then try to get your money. It genuinely is a free webinar. And it's called Overcoming the What Ifs and Learning to Ride the Wave of Overwhelm. So in our world of working with entrepreneurs and startups and leaders as they grow, we just have found these patterns of being really quite overwhelmed, and these pesky things called what ifs can sometimes get our brains carried away and can really disable us. So we've got this free webinar on Thursday, the 18th of September. It's at 12 noon UK time. And basically, we just go through that. We look at the reality of that, and then have some strategies around how you can perhaps be preempting that and hopefully come through that and not let those things overwhelm you. It's very friendly and informal. So if anybody would like to join us on that, if they go to themavenclub.co.uk, they can go to the webinar tab and they can sign up. You do have to be a member, but membership's free. So it's a simple process to become a member. And then all you'll do is you'll just keep getting more free things. So hopefully you'll find that worthwhile.
Yeah, brilliant. So lots of exciting stuff going on at the Maven Club, and I've seen lots of your videos of you and the team out running and doing all kinds of great stuff, looking after your well-being over summer. It's been brilliant to see. And it's
It's
so
lovely
so
when
good.
you call that work, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, what do you want to bring us as a sort of focus point for our weekend well-being this week?
Well, really on that theme, Nathan, what I thought I'd start with this sort of first week back into the autumn is the subject of food. And what's interesting is if you look at some of these expert sites, such as Mind, they will really talk about the relationship of food and the impact that that can have on your well-being. And some of that will be quite obvious, and some of it perhaps just will be educational. But it is interesting to take that step back and think about our relationship with food and foods that can help us and foods that perhaps can hinder us. Now, what I do want to stress is that, sometimes it's very easy to say that when things are going well. But actually, if you're struggling, if you're in a period where your mental health is really struggling, it can just be another thing that becomes overwhelming, or it can feel like an area of failure, this relationship with food. So I think it's a helpful subject to look at, but I think it's also one to look at in the context of when you're feeling okay, that's the time to really look at it and think, well, what does help me? What doesn't help me? What is my relationship with food? How can food be used to really benefit my well-being? And it's always easier to do that when our starting point feels okay. It tends to be quite a hard subject to look at when you're struggling. And I think that's why it's important to have others around you and to come alongside you. If you're in the position where you live with other people, then sometimes it's worth just planning what could that look like if you recognize that you're perhaps struggling a little bit, what could it look like to have support with food during those times so that we don't reach for the kind of, fast food, the stuff that perhaps isn't actually going to help our well-being, but that we can put some things in place that will really, really, really be good for us and potentially can help us just to start to come through and to be a little bit more optimistic again, and to perhaps have the energy to do the things that we want to do one step at a time. So I think it's important to research, to look at foods that are good for us, foods that potentially aren't our friends, particularly if we are in a time where our well-being, we're fighting for that to be in a good place. But it's also good to look at what could be pre-plans so that if we are struggling, we've got some things that we can do, or some people we can turn to. Um, and obviously, there are certain styles of eating and foods that we eat that just generally are better for
Yeah.
us and that are going to help us. Um, and in the same way that sometimes you just don't feel like exercising, there is breakthrough that can come if you do a little bit of exercise, and it can really help your well-being. So there's some very practical things there around food, thinking about how it impacts us, what we could perhaps do when we are feeling overwhelmed, putting some plans in place before. Um, but I also want to just stress that for some people, their mental health, it might be very much associated with food. It might be that their relationship with food, or an eating disorder is the trigger for their mental health. So it's really important, if any of the listeners, if that's their scenario, that they actually do seek that professional help that will help them. This goes way beyond me just saying it's good for us to, think about what we're eating. For some people, there's real complexity, and it's important to make sure that that's being supported well. The last thing anybody ever needs is to feel worse about themselves when they are really, struggling in their mental health and well-being. They don't need to feel it's another thing that they're not getting right.
Mm.
So I want people to hear the message as being a positive encouragement to look at how food can benefit us and help us, but not to in any way undermine the seriousness of what a struggle this can be, and making sure that people do get that right support if that's their scenario. But I also thought it would be good to think of it in a slightly different way as well. So, as you know, we've had lots of chats, and I really do love food. I love experimenting with food. I have a passion for cooking. I'm very much down the end of the spectrum, which is simplicity, just some great fresh ingredients, mix those up together. You know, one of the things I love doing is salads, and that sounds quite dull, but I don't think my salads are dull. They're quite exciting, and I just love the opportunity with food to be connecting to others, to it's my way of giving to others. You know, I enjoy baking and giving that to people. Um, and so for me, I love food. I really do enjoy all food. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I don't like. And I love it if you go to a different culture and you can try things that are relevant in their culture. I love experimenting with food. I get so much enjoyment from that. But I think one of the things about food is the association with creating positive memories. And so really my challenge this weekend is to think about what is a food of happiness for you? Or what could be a food of happiness for you? And is there a way of you eating that or preparing that this weekend? And I think sometimes there's this real sense that our brains they create these pathways that can be positive or negative. And if there's some food items or food experiences that you can have that create positive association and positive memories or connections with people or places, then go after that, because it's just another way to boost our well-being. So today, my challenge to the listeners this weekend is to think about a food that they really love, or a way that they can make that food experience something very, very memorable. And then go about trying to create that this weekend, and intentionally set about having a lovely new memory created this weekend.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that is brilliant. Food, as you say, can trigger some good memories or it can trigger bad memories, and it can be a great help to our mental health, our mental well-being. It can also have the adverse effect, and so it is right to be cautious, to be careful. And to be honest, when it comes to food, I'm not especially creative, to be honest. I do enjoy baking, and one of my favorite things to bake is shortbread, just because of the simplicity of it. Again, I like to make simple foods, and I don't, to be honest, I don't get particularly creative because I don't mind having the same thing over and over, which is why it's
Yeah.
probably best that my older brother does cook a lot more because we get a lot more variation that way.
That's cool. Does it not inspire you to try different things, or do you just like trying his stuff?
Well, to be honest, I like trying his stuff. I'm quite happy doing that.
It sounds like you've got a good little arrangement going on there.
Yeah, it's not bad actually.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, whenever he cooks, everyone always says, "Wow, this is amazing. How did you do that?" And I'll just explain something, really casually. Oh yeah, I just threw this in there. Like I never would have thought to do that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But that's the beauty of the of anything creative. That it's just letting our minds get a little bit carried away and trying it and not fearing failure. If
Mm.
it goes wrong, does it really matter? But for me, that I might be brave in doing that in food. I'm not scared of it. I love it. But then I wouldn't have that ability to do it in another creative art. And that's the great thing, isn't it? We're all different, and it is about experimenting and trying what works for you, and maybe just pushing yourself outside your comfort zone every so often to
Mm.
see if there's a new discovery.
Absolutely. And when it comes to food, coming back to what you said about sort of putting things in place, if we are in bad habits when we're in a good sort of place of well-being and we're not sort of letting ourselves get into bad habits, reaching for the wrong kinds of foods that aren't good for us and kind of give us maybe a temporary high, but they quickly
Mm.
come down off it. If we're in that habit while we're in a good place mentally, when we come to a bad place mentally, it's only going to be much worse. So I guess what you're saying is when you're in a good place mentally, when your well-being is, pretty good, that is the
Mhm.
time to work on putting good habits in place and working out what you can have to eat, which is going to benefit you, that's not going to cause any problems. And again, creating good memories with food, which I mean, obviously say Christmas and Easter and New Year's and birthdays and anything you celebrate, there's almost always some kind of food or feast to celebrate. So it is obviously a really important part of it. And it is important, as you say, to get a good balance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Karen. It's been great to have you on again. And I look forward to speaking again soon.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nathan. Bye.